Our invitation is for us to all together, as a community, has come up many times, for us to create and reimagine what worship and the experience looks like for us together. That there are no bounds to God's love. There are no bounds to the creative expressions that we bring to Him in this space, in the community that we're bringing. Welcome and good morning to City Church. Okay. This is not an optical illusion. There are multiple instruments on this stage, on this here stage. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We have, and welcome again. If it is your first time here, a special welcome and shout out to you. We welcome you to this space and to this time with us. Today, as you may have seen, we will be leading the service. Stick around also. We have a family lunch afterwards, potluck lunch. Looking forward to that as well. We'll introduce ourselves here in a moment, but in the meantime, we invite you to worship with us. We invite you to sit, stand, or whatever feels most comfortable as we sing this morning. All right, you can be seated for the next portion. We have the privilege of leading our service today, and the title of our time, I was about to say sermon, but I said time instead. The title of our time, or maybe the framing of our time, is this idea of risk, the art of taking risks. And today, risk worship. There's a short story, there's a writer named Raymond Carver that I like a lot. And one of his short stories was called What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. So we adapted a little bit today. What we talk about when we talk about worship. And the opportunity we'll have today is just for some dialogue. So if there's any moment which something comes to mind as well, just let us know. This is a dialogue. This is a conversation. We try to even orient our space in the most cozy, intimate way possible here.
Except for the piano player.
Sorry.
The piano.
I don't know which way to look.
The piano's high maintenance here. We're not going to let. Yeah. But you know what? Yeah. We got you. We got you.
I don't like to talk anyway, so I'll just look this way.
And so we'll have 3 moments of reflection today. And in particular, the reason and the purpose for today is really for us to have kind of an open time, forum, discussion, dialogue on what does the worship experience look like here at City Church? What do we want it to look like? What experiences do we orient ourselves around? In some ways, it might feel very similar to previous experiences you may have had in church worship particularly. And in many ways, it probably feels pretty different. And so what our idea and was our thought and our heart for today is just to put that conversation right here on the table and for us to share and discuss as a church. That sound okay? All right. We'll start our time with some conversation and some introductions. And I'm going to go from my left to my right with just actually introducing ourselves to you, because you may not actually know our names.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. I know I'm like, sorry, people over here. Not that you really want to see me, but my name is Steven.
Just the shirt. They just want to see the shirt.
I know. This literally, I thrifted it from my own high school closet. So if you can see it, it's starting to fade. It's very vintagey. But yeah, I've been coming to City Church since basically COVID or 2021. And yeah, it's just been a joy being able to lead worship here and meeting a lot of you as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Stephen Liu. My name is Alex Carpenter. I've been coming to City Church since 2019 with a brief hiatus where my family and I moved back to my home country of Brazil for a couple years. But ever since we've been here, and it's been a real privilege leading music here as well.
My name is Greg Dalmage. I've been here since the beginning. My wife and I have been started with this church plant and have been leading worship all this time. So we're still here, the relics.
I'm Sophie Frau. I've been going to City Church a little over a year now, and I've kind of just grew up around worship, love worship, so now I'm happy to be a part of it here. So.
I'm Sarah Dolmage. I'm married to that guy. And like he said, we've been here the whole time. So I don't know, we get a bonus for that or something? I don't know.
We should.
A gold star? Okay.
Well, would you thank our worship leaders and yeah, thank you. So our first question today, our first topic is really this idea of what stuff, what baggage perhaps, do we as leaders bring into the space? And then obviously many of you may have your own thoughts and things to share here. But as worship leaders, when we enter into this space, and particularly when we enter the space here at City Church with the values that we have, with the intentionally stated values that we have, what does that represent for us? What stuff do we bring? What baggage do we bring into the space as worship leaders and all the potential gravitas that may hold? So I'll leave it open for any one of us to respond to that first question.
You want us to share all of our baggage? Like, where do we start?
Just a nugget, maybe just a nugget for this morning.
Okay, I'll let somebody else talk then.
I'll go ahead and start. So I've been playing worship since the late 90s when evangelicalism was just really pumping strong. You got church camps rocking and rolling, and music was a huge part of that, and it still is. And the reason why, and it's funny, we call it worship, right? But it's just music, and technically, worship is supposed to be a lot of different things. It's just any way we are devoting ourselves to God. But I think why the music part got so wrapped up with the worship is because it demands the most of us. Like, so when you're listening to a sermon, you just sit and passively sit and have that happen. When you serve somebody, you're kind of engaged in that task. You're not thinking about as much. But with worship, you're being asked to maybe stand up. You're singing. Maybe you don't even like to sing, but now you're singing. And so your body's involved. Your breathing's involved. It just demands a lot. And so baggage I bring, music, why I love it is because it's so emotional. It grabs your attention. It can, a simple, like I just have to do that, and everybody's sad now. Everybody's sad, but now we're happy again. So I have so much power as a worship leader, and so when you come and sing with us, you are actually having to be vulnerable enough to let us lead that, right? And that's a big responsibility on us, too, to do that well. And let me just tell you, from around the church world, not a lot of leaders have handled that power too well. And we like that feeling of controlling the group. So when I come on Sundays, I have all of that in my head, right? I have all that in my head that's like, well, I want to give people a good experience, but I don't want to emotionally manipulate them too much. And I want them to be involved, but I also don't want to, pull them kicking and screaming. And so worship leading sometimes can be a lot, right? Just as it is, think about it, it's a Sunday morning. You guys are tired, and to boot, it is daylight savings time, so you lost an hour of sleep. And now we're saying, hey, be passionate next to a bunch of strangers. It's not an easy request. And so those are some of the things that come into play. How do I manage this moment of leadership and guidance well?
I mean, I think for me, just speaking from personal experience, for those of you guys that don't know, before I came to City Church, I was working at another church. So I went to Biola, and there's that baggage. But there's also, right after that, I ended up working at a church for almost like 8 to 10 years doing worship directing. And it is really interesting when you're working at a church, how much people project onto you as a leader, but also interactions with like senior leadership. One of the examples that I had that's kind of affected me in terms of how I lead is there was one pastor that would always criticize, or not criticize, but always make a comment of how we need to pray right before the worship service would start. And I don't know if you noticed, but I do not pray before we usually go straight into service. And a lot of that was like the pressure of, and that expectation of, you should pray to prepare your hearts for getting into worship. But I don't know, I think for me, it just became almost like, you have to do this or you're a terrible person or you're just not a good leader. And so that's my own baggage to where I had to kind of process that, and where prayer is not just the item that I need to check off the list as a worship leader, but being able to come in and being truly who I am, and also realizing people are coming from wherever they're coming from and accepting that. So I'm not offended if you're like talking in the back or you're grabbing a donut. Like, I'm totally fine with that. So, but yeah, that's just kind of my experience.
Okay. We're going to transition into our next set of songs here, but I do want to invite you all to just take 1 minute. That also helps us with our transition, but take 1 minute, find somebody around you, and answer and essentially engage with this question. What has worship and the music part of the church service, what has it meant to you? What has it represented to you? And we'll come back together in about 1 minute. We'll head into our next set of questions. Feel free to sit for this next portion. We'll be dialoguing for a minute here. Before we jump into our next question, though, I did want to just invite you all. Did anybody hear some piece of wisdom or something that resonated with you in that last turn and talk, the last conversation, that your partner doesn't mind sharing with everybody here? Worship as therapy. Anything else come up for someone? Any resonances? Sorry? Music and worship, bringing people closer together in community.
Mm-hmm. It's to add to that, it's one of the few times that this many people all breathe the same. Like you inhale at the same time and you breathe out at the same time. So it's like you're more unified when we sing together than ever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the memories I have around this was particularly around COVID times, where we didn't necessarily have that, or that was like a big health concern. Like, all right, we can come back together, but let's not put the saliva out there when we're singing together. And you know, even the experience of, and you know, the Domages and I at that time were leading from Zoom, trying to figure out our mic situation. Am I delayed? You know, all those types of things. And that there was clearly a different experience when it wasn't just music, but there was that community aspect that wasn't there in the same way. For our next question, we really wanted to dive into something that Greg brought up earlier, was what's really going on physically, mentally, emotionally for all of us as leaders, as people who are in the service, our congregation, whether you're experiencing that remotely or in person, whatever the case may be. But what's happening? And we started kind of pulling on this thread already, but physically, mentally, and emotionally. And we have a slide, I think, an image to kind of start us here. Can anybody guess which is the worship service and which is the Taylor Swift concert?
Trick question, they're both Taylor Swift.
That's great. But similar experiences in a way, if you just look at it at face value, right? That there's an emotional, almost transcendent experience happening. So with that, and with the complicated mix of emotions that come with this experience that seems so much bigger than yourself, Whether it's at a Taylor Swift concert and you're 14 years old, or whether you're in a slightly post-COVID worship service. But I wanted to ask us first, what's going on physically, mentally, emotionally as we lead worship?
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone in this service cry like that, so I don't know if we should be offended or not. Yeah, you can't beat Taylor Swift, even God, you know?
I'm just going to shake that off.
Okay, nice.
Someone knows.
I guess I'll talk. I think just like you guys, we all bring in our daily lives into Sunday mornings. And sometimes that's stuff that we have to, not to be a pun intended, but shake off a little bit before we lead. We have busy mornings and kids and traffic and, you know, the weight of the world and the news and all that as well. But I think sometimes that also can help us kind of get into the zone. I always find that we tend to be stressed out coming in, and then the moment we start playing, that kind of centers things for me. Music has always kind of been my spiritual connection. I'm not actually a big scripture gal or or some other things. Music has kind of always been one of the only ways that I experience God in a very tangible way. And so I kind of feel like it's a blessing in a way for us to lead and play because it grounds us those mornings, even when there are probably some Sunday mornings where we don't feel like coming in, you know. And it depends what time of the service, because if we're nearing 11:30, I'm thinking about lunch usually. So by communion, I'm hungry, if I'm honest. Yeah.
I think for me, in terms of baggage, I mean, we're all living in the same world, so I'm sure people can resonate with the feeling of just not wanting to come when you wake up. I mean, I definitely do. I think when it comes to worship, though, because like going back to like it is a community-based thing. Like we're not just listening to music on our own. We're doing this together. It's a collective thing. And I think the temptation on my end is always to make worship leading kind of a moment for myself, a moment to kind of close my eyes and experience the music on my own, get in touch with God on my own. But I find the more I open my eyes, or the more I look to my right and look to my left or look in front of me, it becomes a more collective experience. I feel more connected when I leave. And actually the baggage that I come in with feels lighter when I leave. If I open my eyes and I'm actually paying attention. Instead of making it I'm turning in on myself kind of thing. And I think that's what's beautiful about worship is that, yeah, we're sharing in this thing together, and it's actually very deep. It's very vulnerable, and it's kind of, it transforms you sometimes. You can come in feeling a certain way and leave feeling another way. And there's something very magical about that, but it's even more magical the fact that, I don't know, like it's not just you, it's everybody as well. So, yeah.
I think from a mental perspective, I think anytime we're part of a service, we want to make sure that we're like precise, right? Not making any mistakes as we're leading the songs, right? And so I think that's a constant challenge as well, is like how well are we executing these songs so that doesn't distract, I suppose. Or that's the idea, right? Is that somehow if we make a mistake, that's going to distract from what's happening, right? All of a sudden you're like connected to God, tuned into the frequency, and then you play the wrong note. Well, wait, where'd God go? You know? And so I think there's that tension there as well, right? Is the execution of what we're actually doing musically is not actually the center piece of it all. Of course, we want to be prepared, well prepared, as our pastors and guest speakers and anybody comes to this space with. So prepared, but the expectation is not that if there's any slight detail that goes wrong, so to speak, that all of a sudden shifts the atmosphere. Stephen, Greg, anything to add for this question?
I don't really have any like poignant thoughts because I feel like everybody's covered it. So I'm just going to share some behind-the-scenes stuff that might add a little levity. I know there's been a couple times where I've just drank too much water, so I start to play songs faster because I need to pee at the end. There have been times it's been always really interesting watching people as they worship, to the point where sometimes I forget what I'm playing. Like there was this one time at a specific church where there was like this older couple, and they were just like messing with each other. They just kept poking each other and like pouring water down each other's like head. It was weird, but it was just like I can't stay focused. I was just getting really distracted. So there's just stuff like that you don't think we can see you, but we definitely see everything.
We're watching you.
Exactly. But I mean, no judgment. You can do whatever you want. It's just fun for me because it's just like, oh, everybody's living their life. I love it.
And also, unlike a Taylor Swift concert, we know that you guys are coming in here kind of against your will in terms of the music. So people are going
No
to
cover
see
charge.
people are going to see Taylor Swift because they like her music. We know sometimes you guys don't dig certain aspects of different music. There's a long time where people would tell Greg and I, like, your music's too slow. And I'd be like, oh, man, we got to speed things up. But so that's part of it, too. Like, we kind of have to be kind of authentic to our styles and, like, what suits us best, but also try to, like, please people a little bit and, like, mix things up and kind of do things. And that kind of adds to a little bit of, like, that. But anyway, trying to be best prepared, like Alex said, for anything. Which I don't know. You said prepared like the pastors are. I don't know how much Bill prepares before Sunday, but
That guy's got 30
He's in the
sermons
back
in the
today.
pocket
He's in the
right
back
now.
today. He could comment later. But thank you all for your thoughts and insights here. Again, as we did last time, and as we prepare for our final set, that same question. What's going on for you physically, mentally, emotionally, as you're absorbing or in the space and music is happening in our service? So take 1 minute. We'll come back together in one. Thank you all for engaging with us, for coming into this time, for jumping in unexpectedly to the person next to you and talking about what some of this means. Our invitation, and we'll keep this short and sweet, but our invitation is for us to all together as a community, has come up many times, for us to create and reimagine what worship and the experience looks like for us together. That there are no bounds to God's love. There are no bounds to the creative expressions that we bring to Him in this space, in the community that we're bringing. So we thank you all, and the invitation is for us to continue to ask and to dialogue and to imagine what this could look like for us. And with that, I'll bring up Pastor Bill.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Hey, just a couple things. We are going to eat outside. Connect with people. You don't know everyone here, so there's tons of food. Please come eat. There's a discussion question, which is, what artist or song have you been connecting with recently emotionally? All right. Doesn't have to be Christian. All right, but and why is that? Yeah, so that's just a conversation for the table. So you want to connect with people and enjoy. So Easter is coming up in just a few weeks. It's the first weekend in April. There's a Good Friday service at 6, and then 7 o'clock potluck. And then there's an Easter sunrise service where we do baptisms. If you would like to be baptized at the beach, let me know. It's cold. It's great. That's a sunrise, and then there's a normal 10:30 service here with an egg hunt, and it's really great. So that's all that stuff's coming up. There are other announcements on the boards out here. Love to stay connected. But let me give you a blessing, and then come gather around tables and let the worship continue. So may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh shine on you and give you grace. May Yahweh smile on you and give you peace. Amen.